In this video, I'll be going over input and output tables, also known as function tables. For an input and output table type questions, there will always be a value that's missing, and you will be required to find out what that value is. And the idea of this is that we will have an input and output table with the values. Basically, want to find the pattern for each and then solve for the missing value. What we're trying to find is the pattern, and that pattern could be in form of addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. Below, we can see 4 function tables, and then each of them has an input and output value. For the first example, we're looking for the value of this. Second will be here, third will be here, and fourth will be here. So let's solve for the first one. What we're looking for is a pattern which applies for all the values before we've used the same pattern or formula to find the missing value. So we look at the value of 2 and 20. What type of relationship do they have from input of 2 to output of 20? Now you can see 2 times 10 is 20. And 2 plus 18 is 20. Now we couldn't divide and we couldn't subtract because the input value is smaller. These are the 2 type of formula that could apply for this function table. And let's look at the second row. We have 5 and 50. Now 5 times 10 is 50. But does 5 plus 18 equal 50? And we can see that's incorrect. And because of that, we would know that the formula most likely is going to be the input times by 10 to become the output. Let's try the fourth row. Since the third row is missing value, if we take 15, we times by 10, does that become 150? And since that answer is yes, so it tells us that the formula we have would be input times 10 equals output. So basically it would be 2 times 10 equals 20, 5 times 10 equals 50, 15 times 10 equals 150. So what would this missing value be? So if we were just taking the same formula and go 10 times 10, then we know the answer to this would be 100. And so the formula, and so the answer is 100 for the first example. Now for the second example, we have input of 4 and 10, 9 to 15, 15 to 21. And let's find the relationship for that. We know 4 plus 6 equals 10. Now we know subtraction won't work. 4 cannot subtract anything to become 10. Now can 4 times something to become 10? Yes, if we take 4 times by 2.5, that will become 10. Now what about division? Can 4 divide by a number to become 10? So we have these 2 formula that could be used across this function table. Now let's try the second row, 9 and 15. Since we previously had plus 6 and times 2.5, let's try 9 plus 6. And that becomes 15. So that works. Now does 9 times 2.5 also equal 15? Answer is no. So we're gonna cross that out. And most likely our answer is gonna be this one because others don't apply. Let's try the third row. Does 15 plus 6 equals 21? The answer is yes. So now we know the pattern is to take input plus 6 equals output. And that looks something like this. Plus 6 plus 6. So what number at 6 would become 32? So we would just need to take 32 minus 6, and we can see that the answer would be 26. So 26 would be the answer for the second function table. Now for the third example, we have a 20 and a 4 to begin with. And we know 20 divided by 5 is 4. We also know 20 minus 16 equals 4. Now the multiplication won't work because 20 is bigger than 4. And addition won't work because 20 is bigger than 4. So we have two possibilities. One is input divided by 5 or input minus 16. So let's try the second row, 120. So 100 divided by 5, that works because then that becomes 20. Now does 100 minus 16 equals 20? And the answer is wrong. So we know that it's most likely going to be divided by 5. And let's try the third one. 200 divided by 5 thus becomes 40. So we know that works. And so each one of them would divide by 5. And so input, output I, divide by 5 equals output. And so we have the last row, which is 400, that need to divide by 5. So 400 divided by 5 is 80. And so 80 is the answer for the third example. Now lastly, we have 15 and 10. We know 15 minus 5 is 10. Now can 15 times something to get to 10? Since 15 is bigger than 10, so we can't do that. Can 15 divide by something to reach 10? Although 15 is bigger than 10, but dividing will have to be a decimal in order for it to work. Now could 15 plus something to get to 10? And we cannot because 15 is greater than 10 already. So in this case, subtracting by 5 is most likely the pattern that we're gonna use. And we can try that on the second row. 25 minus 5 is 20, so we know that works. And lastly, does 50 minus 5 equals 45? The answer is yes. So we know that is the pattern. So to find the missing value, we would just need to take 40 minus 5. And the answer is 35. And that would be the answer for the fourth example. So these 4 examples are how you would find missing value from the input and output table. What you want to find is the relationship between the input and output and apply across all the rows. Hopefully this is helpful to you, and thank you for watching.